Hello, family. Today's training presentation is entitled Mirror, Mirror. Here's today's agenda. Staying in our lane, we're going to do a quick review. Now, some of you may recall that this is actually another training presentation that we have created. And we encourage you to view this training presentation of Stay in Our Lane prior to viewing this one if you have not done so already. But nevertheless, we'll do a quick review of this. Then we're going to talk about what exactly is mirroring with respect to basketball officiating. And we're going to see mirroring in action. Staying in our lane, let's look at the basketball courts and the three lanes that make up the basketball court. So let's do a quick review of lanes. So remember that we can divide the basketball court into three lanes. These lanes will extend the entirety of the court. We start the lanes geometrically from the left of the lane area to the right of the lane area. So you can think of the basket or the ring as the middle portion of the court for how we're going to view our lanes. So lane 1 will be the entire back court and front court to the left of the lane area in the front court. Lane 2 is the entire back court and front court, which consists of the basket or the ring, as we've talked about, the lane area itself or the paint, the free throw line circle, and the division line circle. Lane 3 is the entire back court and front court to the right of the lane in the front court. As you may recall, we use these lanes for obtaining and maintaining optimal positioning based on the location of the basketball. The ball is in lane 1 if we are in the back court or front court going from right to left. The ball is in lane 3 if we are in the back court or front court going from left to right. In the middle, if the ball is located anywhere in this area, the ball is in lane 2. And in our last image, the ball is in lane 3 if we are in the back court or front court going from right to left. The ball is in lane 4 if we are in the back court or front court going from left to right. So let's remember that whether we're talking about a two-person crew with a lead official and our trail official, or a three-person crew with our lead official, our center official, and trail official, that all of our officials have positions on the court that they can observe. For lead, we have the close down position, the post up position, which is lead's initial starting position, and the wide position. On certain courts where a 3-foot mark is present along the end line, that represents the post up position for lead. For our center and trail officials, we have our outside officials either being on the court in bounds or our outside officials being off the court on the sideline or just on the court bordering the sideline area. These positions, as we have learned in a prior presentation, are dependent in which lane the ball is located and whether players will impact our ability to obtain such positions. Next, we're going to look at what exactly is mirroring. Who and what are we reflecting? So mirroring are the actual movements made by our officiating crew depending on a couple of factors. The lane where the basketball currently resides, and players in our primary coverage area affecting our ability to obtain an optimal position. You will often hear this concept by your officiating peers, especially officials at higher levels, as mirroring the basketball. Now, here are some ironies about mirroring. If we mirror the basketball correctly and obtain optimal position, we can now, say it with me, referee the defense. Stop if you've heard that one before. We communicate to our partners that we are ready to assist them when needed. And the actual movements of mirroring the basketball are nothing more than PAs, which are position adjustments. And I'm sure if you've had the pleasure of viewing a good deal of our training series, you have heard us talk ad nauseum about position adjustments and how important they are for basketball officiating and how helpful they are in us as basketball officials making accurate rulings. Now we're going to look at 10 plays where we're going to see mirroring in action. Now, all these plays are taken from the Tennessee South Carolina women's game of 2023-2024 SEC tournament semifinal. Of course, this is a three-person officiating crew. So even if you don't have experience in officiating, three-person officiating, that's okay. The point of this presentation is to view the basketball, where it's located, and how, if any, it impacts our officials' movements on and off the court or along the end line as our lead official. If the ball goes from lane 2 to lane 1, lead is in mid rotation, but comes back to the post up position due to the pass from lane 2 to lane 1. Now, following the offensive rebound, lead goes to the close down position. The ball settles in lane 3, and lead will rotate to that side of the floor. Lead will take a wide position due to the matchup in her primary coverage area. Our old center is on the floor near the sideline while the ball is in lane 2. Old center can remain at the same position as the ball is passed to lane 1. Following the offensive rebound in lane 3, old center makes a position adjustment to the sideline. And following lead's rotation, our new center will make a position adjustment so he can remain on the floor as the ball is in lane 3. Our old trail is on the floor near the sideline while the ball is in lane 2. Old trail will work closer to the sideline while still on the floor when the ball enters lane 1 in his primary coverage area. Following the offensive rebound in lane 3, Old Trail can now come onto the floor normal because no players impact his position. And following Lead's rotation, New Trail will stay on the sideline while the players and the ball are in lane 3. Trail works the sideline behind the ball handler dribbler as the ball comes up lane 1 from backcourt to front court. Though the basketball goes to lane 2 and remains in lane 2 and 3 for the rest of the sequence, Trail works the sideline because she has players in her primary coverage area which impact her positioning. Once there is 5 seconds on the shot clock with the ball in lane 3, Trail will come back onto the court as there are no players in her primary coverage area impacting her position. Center can stay just slightly ahead of the ball while being on the court as the ball goes from backcourt to front court. Because the basketball will go from lanes 2 and 3 for the rest of the sequence, near the border of these lanes, center can be on the court as there are no players in his primary coverage area impacting his positioning. Now, lead will make a position adjustment from close down to post up because of the ball starting in lane 1 as well as a matchup in his primary coverage area. As the ball goes to lane 2 and then to lane 3, lead starts to rotate but then returns to close down. This is because the ball goes to lane 2 with a post matchup in his primary coverage area. Trail is on the court behind the ball handler dribbler as the ball comes up lane 3 from backcourt to front court. Reason being is that the ball is near the border of lanes 2 and 3 and there are no players impacting Trail's positioning. The ball will settle in lane 2 near the borders of lane 1 and 2. Trail can work on the court. Our center will stay just slightly ahead of the ball coming from backcourt to front court. The ball again settles in lane 2 near the borders of lane 1 and 2. Center can thus work on the court. As the ball comes into the front court in lane 2 and goes to lane 1, lead goes to the close down position. The ball settles in lane 2 near the borders of lane 1 and 2, and lead will take a position adjustment to the post up position. Trail is on the court behind the ball handler dribbler as the ball comes up lane 2 from backcourt to front court. As the ball enters lane 3, Trail works behind the 28-foot mark such that he can be on the court as no players are beyond the 28-foot mark. Eventually, we will have a rotation in this play, and our new Trail will work on the court near the sideline while the ball settles in lane 1. Center is on the court ahead of the ball handler dribbler as the ball comes up lane 2 from backcourt to front court. As the ball goes from lane 3 to 2 to 1, center can stay on the court as no players impact his positioning. Now, once we have our rotation by lead in this play, our new center will work on the sideline even though the ball settles in lane 1 and eventually goes to lane 2. Reason is that there are players in his primary coverage area that impact his positioning. Now we will see as the ball enters lane 3, lead moves to wide as the ball gets closer to the sideline. As the ball goes from lane 3 to 2 to 1, lead moves to close down. Eventually the ball settles in lane 1 and lead will rotate to this side of the court. Trail works the sideline just on the court behind the ball handler dribbler as the ball comes up lane 1 from backcourt to front court. The ball will go from lane 1 to 2, and Trail can work on the court as players in her primary coverage area do not impact her initial starting position. We will see as the ball goes from lane 1 to lane 2, center can also work on the court as players in his primary coverage area do not impact his initial starting position of the free throw line extended. Now, as the ball goes from lane 1 to lane 2, we will see that our lead official, who's currently at the post-up position, will move to a closed down position just in case a rotation is required. Trail works the sideline just on the court behind the ball handler dribbler as the ball comes up lane 2 from backcourt to front court. The ball goes from lane 2 to 1, and Trail can remain on the court as there are no players in his primary coverage area. As the ball goes from lane 2 to 1, center will work the sideline as the ball enters his primary coverage area. Center continues to work the sideline in this entire sequence, even while the ball is in lane 2 due to the many players in her primary coverage area. As the ball goes from lane 2 to 1, lead goes to the closed down position. As the ball returns to lane 2, lead makes an unusual position adjustment to the post-up position. Why? Because screening action is taking place in lane 3 and his primary coverage area. This is an excellent position adjustment by our lead official. Trail is on the court behind the ball handler dribbler as the ball comes up lane 3 closer to lane 2 from backcourt to front court. The ball will go from lane 3 to 2 to 1. Trail makes a slight position adjustment so she can work on the court near the sideline. As the ball goes from lanes 3 to 2 to 1, Our center official will make a good position adjustment so he can work on the court near the sideline as the ball is in his primary coverage area. As the ball goes from lanes 3 to 2 to 1, we see that our lead official goes from wide to post up to close down just in case a rotation ends up being required. The ball enters the front court from lane 2 to lane 1. Trail lets the ball guide her from being on the court to being on the court near the sideline. Following the rotation, our new trail will continue to work the sideline while making good position adjustments as the ball goes from lane 3 to lane 2. As the ball comes from lane 3 to 2 to 1, center works on the court near the sideline as there is a player near him in his primary coverage area. Once the rotation occurs, our new center makes a position adjustment inside the free throw line extended to officiate the screening and curl action. We're going to focus on lead once the ball enters lane 3 and goes from 3 to 2 to 1. We will see that lead will stay at the post up position as there is post activity in its primary coverage area. Once the ball goes from lane 1 to 2 to 3, lead rotates to that side of the floor. He stays at the new close down position to officiate all the action near the restricted arc. Once the ball enters the front court, it will go from lanes 3 to 2 to 1, and our trail will stay on the court near the sideline. Even though much of the activity in this sequence is in the lane, trail will stay on the court near the sideline to assist lead with any activity in the lane. This is well done by our trail official. So once the ball goes from 3 to 2 to 1, our center official will remain on the sideline as there are players in his primary coverage area. Our center official will also make two great position adjustments in this sequence. He comes more onto the court and steps down inside the free throw line extended. There is a point in this sequence where there are no players in lane 1 near him. As the ball goes from 3 to 2 to 1, lead will rotate, but he returns to his original position as the ball goes quickly back from lane 1 to 3. Lead makes a great position adjustment, not based on the ball location, but because of the many players in his primary coverage area. Lead moves to the wide position to officiate all the activity in his primary coverage area. Because the ball is on the borders of lane 1 and 2, Trail is able to work on the court in the middle of lane 1. He works behind the 28-foot mark to officiate the on-ball matchup and stays on the court. During the rest of the sequence, there are almost no players in Trail's PCA, and he can work on the court and assist his crew where needed. Our center will work the sideline on the court due to a matchup in her primary coverage area impacting her position. Once the ball enters lane 2, goes back to 1, and goes back to 2, center will maintain her position on the court near the sideline because of players going in and out of her primary coverage area. Lead was going to start wide due to the curl action and post action in his primary coverage area. While the ball settles in lane 1, Lead stays wide due to all the activity in his primary coverage area. Lead maintains this position between wide and post up because of the continuous post activity in his primary coverage area. We want to give a shout out to Slides Carnival for the use of this presentation template. We also would like to give a shout out to Pexels and Pixelbay for the use of any photos not originally created by us in this presentation. Thank you for your attention and participation. We hope you found the presentation insightful and look forward to your continuing engagement. Thank you so much for spending part of your day or night with us. We hope this presentation of Mirror Mirror gave you some excellent knowledge and insight into the movements of our basketball officials and how the location of the basketball affects such movements. Again, thank you so much for spending part of your day or night with us. Have a great day, a great week, a great month, a great year, a great season.